No major surprises have come from the Modi Cabinet 3.0. Prime Minister Modi retaining Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman and S. Jaishankar in their previous roles, while Nitin Gadkari and Piyush Goyal have also retained their key portfolios. But a key addition this time is that of JP Nadda. He's moved from his position as the BJP party president to the Ministry of Health as well as Fertilizers. We're also seeing some of the allies get their share of the pie. Let's get the details of the kind of construct of Modi 3.0 when you look at the main cabinet berths and beyond. Let's connect with my colleagues Prakash and Sumit, both of them joining us from Delhi. Coming to you, Sumit, do tell us about the kind of construct that we are seeing of the ministries this time and the continuity that we are seeing most in evidence, because there are no big changes, are there, Sumit?
Well, definitely, Vikram, no big changes there. If we talk about the top four, they have been retained by the earlier ministers only. Rajnath Singh, Minister of Defence, Amit Shah, Minister of Home Affairs, Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance, and also let's talk about Piyush Goyal, Minister of Commerce. So all big ministries retained. It's important. Amit Shah, Minister of Home also. So it's quite clear now that the government wants the whole development agenda to be continuing from here on. We have seen them working over the last few years. Well, clearly they were hard-working ministers in their lifetime here in their own ministries. They saw ups and downs. They saw how things moved from one place to another. They did their best, and the results were for everywhere to see. Results of the elections aside, they have done well, and that's the message coming from PM Modi at the top brass of BJP as well. Though we talk about allies, and here TDP is getting Minister of Civil Aviation, HD Kumaraswamy, Ministry of Civil Aviation. So allies have also been kept, yes, somewhere, but more or less it is the main thing which is there with the template which was there earlier has been kept also. So big point here is that the template is intact. Big ministers are there. That is there with BJP, the ruling party of the NDA and the alliance. And as we have been telling to viewers from the day one that BJP would like to keep the big portfolios with itself. That's what they have done so far. However, JP Nadda has taken charge will take charge as health minister. From the president post, he has come to the post of the health minister. Talking about the overall reforms continuity from here, that is very important, because that is the message PM Modi has been giving since yesterday, since he called all the ministers at a tea party at his residence at 11:30. He gave a message that 100-day agenda is the priority. 5-year roadmap is there. That is to be followed as well. And today, when the cabinet happened, he once again announced a scheme which was good for poor people, good for housing for poor people. In cabinet, he announced all that. So a message was given to the whole cabinet that get going with whatever you have, with whatever portfolios you have. In fact, the first file which he signed today was linked to loans to farmers. That's another message given that the welfare schemes will continue. So it is a big, we can say that day when the overall Council of Ministers has been announced. The formal announcement has been made. They took oath yesterday, but it was not clear what portfolios they will hold. Now it is clear what portfolios are they holding. Though Jyotiraditta Scindia has been moved out from Civil Aviation Ministry, he's going to get Telecom Ministry and donor also. Ashwini Vaishnav, Minister of Railways, retained. Remember, we were discussing when JDU they wanted to have railways, but it was quite a speculative thing that they will not have railways. But now railways have come to Ashwini. He's been retained by Ashwini Vaishnav, in fact, I would say, and he is also INB minister. So yes, continuity in reforms will be there going forward. A lot of things will be clear. Also, to keep in mind, budget is just around the corner. And all these things have to be done keeping in mind things are not changed, because most of the 100-day plans have been made. So 100 days plan, we will see them taking shape, them getting implemented more ferociously, and the budget also around the corner. So big decisions have to be made. Clearly a big day for India's cabinet when all the big portfolio have been announced as far as ministers are concerned. Back to you, Vikram.
It is indeed a big day when you look at the sense of continuity. But of course, the mandate that the BJP has gotten this time, there has been a lot of buzz around how the allies within NDA 3.0, how they're going to be accommodated compared to the buzz, the kind of sources that you were speaking to, Prakash, and now we are seeing the kind of allocation of the key ministries. Tell us about the mismatches and what you're hearing from the allies within the NDA as well. Prakash, that question to you. Can you hear me?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yes, Prakash. I was just telling our viewers that there has been a lot of buzz about how the allies are going to be accommodated within Modi 3.0. And there was a lot of buzz, a lot of news reports, some allies not very happy with what they were offered, etc. Now we know that the key ministries have been kept by Mr. Modi for the key players within his team of the last 10 years. Tell us about the allies and where they stand when you look at this kind of allocation.
I think there is some audio issue, but the little I could understand. Look, what is happening at this point of time through this portfolio allocation is that we have a sense of continuity within the government, and the economic reforms is not going to be dated because all the key portfolios have been retained by the BJP and the BJP ministers. So, the CCS ministries all are with the BJP. There is no such change in those CCS ministries, which is very key portfolios. Along with that, some other ministries are there, like Ministry of Steel, Panchayati Raj, along with that food processing. These are some ministries which has been given to allies, and these are not a key portfolio, I would say, in a sense that their performance are not going to be. However, these are very important ministry, but these are not key portfolio when it comes to big economic reforms. So in that case, the government, BJP-led India, has been successfully retained the key portfolio with it, and we can see clearly that there will be continuity in economic reforms. All the economic reforms measures we have seen in Modi 2.0, and that could be continued in the Modi government 3.0. If you look at some key economic reforms, which is going to be given a key highlight, key focus during the new government is some amendments in IBC Act, something which is with regard to implementation of labor reforms. Along with that, modest disinvestment process, value addition in PSUs, along with that, reforms in digital infrastructure and so on.
Yes.
So these are the key economic reforms. Of course, mega reforms in GST rate rationalizations. So these are the key economic reforms which is likely to be continued.
But
and
very
the allies are not going to create a huddle.
Yes. No, absolutely. But Prakash, very importantly, the key message going out by the Prime Minister was what Sumit was alluding to, that the first kind of intervention, if you can call it that, is about the kind of loans going out to farmers. And that's where the Prime Minister has put out a strong message as he started things off in Modi 3.0. But let's also discuss this. Sumit and Prakash, thank you very much for joining us. We're taking this discussion ahead with political analysts joining us. Sanjeev Srivastava is with us. He's a political commentator. And he joins us with Mr. Rahul Verma, a political scientist and a fellow at CPR. Great to have you, gentlemen. Mr. Verma, to you first from the portfolio allocation. Do you sense that continuity has ruled over the exigencies that coalition politics throw up, especially when you look at key ministries like Home and Defense and External Affairs and Railways and Transport?
So, yes, I don't think there is now any doubt that we are seeing more continuity than what was being talked in last 4 to 5 days. In some ways, the first change was just the number of ministers that took oath yesterday. If you remember, in 2014 Modi cabinet, I think around 44, 48 people took oath on the first day. In 2019, the number went up to 56. And yesterday, the number was 72, including the Prime Minister. So yes, there is some accommodation that's happening. You are seeing more and more people taking part of the ministry. Also from some allies trying to balance both different kinds of caste equation, social equation, regional aspirations. But portfolio allocation suggests that the Modi 3.0, at least for now, has shown much more continuity than any kind of change that was talked about. To me, in next 3 to 4 months, we should see some kind of similarity in how this government is going to continue. Just because it's a coalition government, I don't think we should expect any big change in that sense. And the reason is following: between 91 and 2014, when you had lots of coalition government, this coalition still has a larger anchor party than we had in the past. And second, I think we'll have assembly elections in Maharashtra, Jharkhand, and Haryana in October, November. And the results of that would tilt the balance in either favor of BJP and Prime Minister Modi or in favor of allies. I think till then, we should see more of continuity.
To weigh in on this, in respect to the kind of mandate that the BJP got in this election and the kind of portfolio allocation that has been done by Mr. Modi, how do you think the response has been by Mr. Modi? Because we're seeing that much more of continuity. How important was it to send out that message to?
Vikram, that's for me. Good evening. Is that the question for me?
Yes, Sanjeev, please go ahead.
Okay. So I think as a political commentator or observer of what's happening in politics, I think today evening is the time when one has to really bow his head in front of Mr. Modi. Because in one stroke, he has transformed the nature of this government from a coalition government to a single majority government. So the entire tone, tenor, manner in which portfolios have been distributed, it seems that there is just absolutely no pressure on the BJP top leadership or the Prime Minister. So he can continue to run his government and allocate portfolios in a manner as if the party enjoys a clear majority. So in substance, that's the message which has gone out. So everything important, you name it, and the BJP has it. Not just the top 4-5 ministries, not just the Cabinet Committee on Security ministries, all the infrastructure ministries, all the other, whether it's even tourism, Jal Shakti, even education, which is very, very important from the point of view of BJP and RSS, their whole issue of culture and reassessing things of how the idea of India in their worldview is, petroleum with Hardeep Puri. So it's like allies don't exist. So they have been given portfolios like TDP for all its so-called heft in this coalition government. The TDP cabinet minister has got civil aviation. There is nothing to do in that ministry.
Correct.
What will he do? They don't have any airlines. So they have to just ensure that the airports are run and managed effectively or whatever, some rules, regulations. So the allies, so it's a complete BJP show, and you have to give it to Mr. Modi.
Right.
That all that talk of last 4 or 5 days, that whether it'll have 2 crutches, whether he'll have to reinvent Mr. Modi for a coalition government, all that talk has gone for a toss, thrown out of the window.
Indeed.
And now, of course,
yes,
one has to see what the allies have to say. And I'm sure the allies must have been taken into confidence.
Yes,
but what they have said, how will they will react? One can only wait for them to come back.
What we're also waiting to see is how the markets and industry going to react to some of these key ministries as well. Mr. Verma, the Finance Ministry, of course, has gone back to Nirmala Sitharaman as well as, of course, the Corporate Affairs Ministry. Is that continuity important for financial reforms kind of perspective for markets here, everywhere else, industry as well? How do you read it?
About markets, you would have a better sense whether markets like Nirmala Sitharaman
how it's read, sir,
are going to react tomorrow. But in some ways, see, if Prime Minister is continuing with same ministers in very important portfolio, in his wisdom, he thinks that these ministers or ministries have delivered what he wanted and what kind of agenda he has in mind. That's why you are seeing continuity. And keeping the top 4 ministries, like same people in the ministry, in some ways signal that these ministers have done what he expected them to do in the past regime, and he wants to take that agenda forward. in some ways, good or bad, Nirmala Sitaraman and entire sort of like finance and corporate affairs ministry delivered on some of the micro fundamentals which Prime Minister wanted. And I think that's so markets, if I know, love continuity. They don't want surprises. So in some ways, Modi coming back to power and then basically sending out very right signals in terms of being able to be in command of this coalition government and not showing any signs of basically pressure is what most people would want at this moment.
When you talk about the first action of the Prime Minister in this hat-trick stint of his, Sanjeev, it's related to farmers and farm loans. The Agriculture Ministry has gone to an old BJP hand this time, former MP Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan. So how important is that for Modi 3.0 to get farmers on their side again and be seen as working for their interests? Sanjeev?
Portfolios would not have been allocated the manner in which they have been. We would have talked till kingdom come about his signing that Kisan Nidhi and Shivraj getting agriculture and farmers being a big constituency. But if you will allow me to be a little tongue-in-cheek here and talk about markets reaction, I think, see, markets shot through the roof on exit polls, corrected on the results day, and since then they have been climbing back again, barring today where some little bit of nervousness was there. I think largely because of portfolios. What kind of portfolios will we get? That's my assessment. So I think tomorrow will be like the exit poll day. Because tomorrow, without getting 300 plus, the message has been gone that this is a 300 plus government.
Yes, absolutely. No, it will be like exit poll day, and that's what we're watching very closely. And hence, we are soliciting reactions from you so that we can preempt what the markets and how industry, what political analysts like you have to say about the kind of allocations we are seeing of portfolios. But yes, very importantly as well, Sanjeev, when you look at JP Nadda, the BJP president getting a cabinet berth, he gets the health ministry. He's made a very significant statement, and rather emphatically, which we have discussed, that the BJP, he says, has grown from the time it needed the RSS. He says the BJP is now capable, it runs itself. And this time we are seeing Mr. Nadda, part of the cabinet, getting a key ministry, not just health, but fertilizers as well. How should this decision be seen?
Got health in 2014 also.
Correct.
And it's an important ministry.
Yes.
It's not one of the plum or most important ministries. And as far as Mr. Nadda's statement about RSS, I'm sure he would have already conveyed his apologies and regrets about that statement to the RSS bosses.
Also, as far as reforms continuity goes, Mr. Verma, when you see this kind of cabinet now, and we are seeing the swearing in of as many ministers, and now you're seeing these allocations as well. In terms of policy, in terms of what Mr. Modi was trying to do, while he was campaigning, what he was promising, all the guarantees that he was giving out, which are the ones that you think there might be some difficulty in pushing through important reforms, and how much of an impact is that going to have in his kind of constituency, what Mr. Modi is seen to stand for?
3 points, and 2 points are going to be your previous questions. First, I think Shivraj Singh Chauhan getting as Union Agriculture Minister is an important signal. The reason it's an important signal because in last 5 years, BJP government has faced a lot of flack over the farm reforms. There has been mobilization on that front. And perhaps the previous agriculture minister didn't carry the kind of heft Shivraj Singh Chauhan carries, right? He's a 4-time CM, 6-time MP, 6-time MLA. So giving him that ministry, in some ways, Modi is trying to signal that he has got an important person to now head the ministry who can carry out any negotiations if that is needed. And by signing, Kisan Samman Nidhi as one of the first things today is also part of that large signaling effort on the to the farmers' constituency. I think the second question, which is related to RSS and Mr. Nadda making a statement. See, because BJP has suffered losses, there is no denial about it, right? Like if they hadn't gained in the Bay of Bengal corridor, these losses would have looked significant. And even without them, losing 60 seats and losing a much more from what you expected, in some ways a loss of face, and that is going to play out internally within the BJP, within BJP and RSS relationship, and within the allies of the NDA, right? Like, so of course, Prime Minister Modi and BJP would try to show at every possible opportunity that nothing has changed.
Yes.
But there is going to be sort of like realignment of those equations.
Correct.
Mr. Nadda moving out from as a BJP president into the cabinet means that there would be a new cabinet and a new president and new team is going to take over BJP. So there are going to be changes. I don't have any doubts about it.
Right.
And those changes are going to be dynamic, meaning that every 3 to 6 months, depending upon how Prime Minister and this government and BJP is able to deliver on some of its key sort of like policy agenda, electoral wins, those balance of power will keep tilting here and there. Third point, like the contentious issues of like the ideologically contentious issues have already been taken care of largely in the previous Modi 2.0.
Yes.
So on economic reforms, I don't, see a lot of problem. In fact, most of India's economic reforms happened during the coalition period,
Right.
between 1991 and 1999, or you can count it to 2004, when the main anchor party didn't have the kind of like numbers you are talking today. So to me, like the reason why you see more economic reforms happening during coalition era, because of course it takes time to reach to a consensus. But once the consensus is reached within various diverse interest groups, it's easier to then, like pass it through the parliament. It does not then require brute majority, but it's also easier to explain or sell the reform to different kinds of constituencies.
But will you concede that the process will be slower, Mr. Verma?
Yes, the process would be slower, but because it will give you a more buying power in terms of like, you have to sell the reform to a constituency which is going to lose out from that reform in the short run.
Right.
And because there are more diverse groups in this coalition,
Correct.
I think that you would see reforms going ahead.
Right.
It will take time though.
Right. Sanjeev, we've spoken about this in the past, that the Prime Minister doesn't have as much experience managing a coalition as he does with the kind of numbers that he's had in the past. There is already some unease developing with the Ajit Pawar-led faction of the NCP, Praful Patel turning down an MOS berth with independent charge as per news reports. Managing all of this, the allies, their requirements, how they are going to buy into some of those reforms, economic and otherwise. How easy a task do you think it is going to be for Mr. Modi? How much of the roadblocks do you think he's going to be able to kind of clear successfully in times to come in the near future?
Vikram, if the allies buy into today's portfolio allocation,
Yes.
I'm sure other things will also be fairly easy.
But are you saying
Because,
that once this is done, that we can't expect shake-ups? Is that also what you're saying?
No, I really don't know whether Mr. Modi has taken the allies into confidence fully while announcing these portfolios, which I think is the more obvious course of action, or is this allocation of portfolios somewhere also testing waters kind of a thing that he has attempted to see how the allies will react to it? What is in his mind? Because this is clearly, this portfolio allocation distribution clearly sends out a message that nothing has changed from 2014 till now. It's the same setup, same resolve, same kind of style, same determination, same strength, which is not there in numbers this time.
Right.
So, so the first indication, this was the biggest indication which he has given out today.
Right.
So if he manages to negotiate and maneuver through this kind of an exercise successfully, then I think the template would be somewhat settled.
Right.
That he's taking allies into confidence that we'll take care of your state aspirations, what you want to be done in your respective states, special status, more financial package, and what you may. But please allow me to run the country. I want to.
But what about giving the government?
I have got 240 seats.
Yes.
It's not a small number also. It's like Rahul was just pointing out some time back, vis-a-vis all other coalitions of the past in the last 30, 35 years, this has the strongest center with 240. The
Right.
second best was 210 or 11 of UPA 2.
Right.
So I think, and
But
also
Sanjeev,
the
what
fact
about,
also the
sorry.
fact that Naidu himself is a very progressive and economic reforms kind of a person.
But
He
yes,
believes in
absolutely.
that philosophy.
That's right. But wouldn't he want to project himself as that, handling ministries that would put him in that kind of perspective, as being reformist, as being able to push the country's IT infrastructure story further, which he says he's the one who was the first mover on?
True. I think he will try that. But a very important point which we are missing out is that also Mr. Modi cannot and will not forget that he has got 240. So he will look at the reasons why they have got 240 and not 300 or 300 plus. And there will be challenges that will come along the way. Like in the run-up to Haryana elections, they may think about tinkering or tweaking or changing the Agniveer policy, which would mean that you would have to allocate some money for some kind of a revision. So some going back to some push back into welfareism will also be a challenge as Nirmala Sitharaman goes ahead preparing her budget, which should come out soon. I think that will be the biggest giveaway of this government, or the biggest signal which we will be able to read as to what kind of a balance between reforms and welfare measures is this Modi 3.0 going to attempt or set their target for.
Mr. Verma, as far as the budget is concerned, in terms of continuity, what we are seeing in portfolio allocation, what this budget is going to present to the table, to the country, how much of continuity do you expect over there? And how much more to be able to accommodate this entire welfare agenda that the Modi 3.0 dispensation seems to have started off on when it comes to the farm loans to start with? How much more of that are we likely to see, according to you?
Difficult to answer how much more, but to my mind, like not just in India, across the globe, what we are seeing that there is a political consensus emerging on keeping the welfare state decently large. The era of small welfare state is over. You've seen that happening in US, Bidenomics, and in other places also. I think you will see a very similar thing happening in India. A continuity of some of the welfare schemes which we have seen in previous two regimes of Prime Minister Modi. Some tinkering here and there, depending upon what his reading of the verdict is. At the moment, I think if you look in terms of like caste composition of the ministry, Modi 3.0, I think Prime Minister would continue to push to have greater inclusion of lower pyramid or lower social pyramid of India. And in that sense, I think he will continue with making some sort of like concessions through welfare measures to take care of the poor. So I don't think there is going to be a turn back. The interim budget on that front, I think, gave us perhaps a very different kind of look that the government is thinking much more on the fiscal consolidation line, and perhaps they were too confident given the Ram Mandir inauguration in January that they are anyways going to come back
so
to
some
power.
sort of calibration you do expect in this budget that is going to be presented in July. There would be some of that. And Sanjeev, I'll let you have the last word because we're running out of time. Modi 3.0, is it likely to become less centralized in governance than the last two iterations? Is it likely to be the same or more centralized? What's your reading?
See, we'll know by and by is my answer. But the first indication is that there's not going to be much change vis-a-vis the last time around.
Fair enough. It remains to be seen. And these are moving pieces. Mr. Verma, Sanjeev, thank you very much for joining us with your perspective here on this edition of India Tonight.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.